Hello. All righty. Another fun Friday, a little later in the day podcast. We are not all exhausted. That is not what's happening. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, November 5th, 2021. Today, we're taking a look at the new earbuds from Beats. We're going to break down the latest iPhone display controversy, and we're going to look ahead a little bit to 2022 because this is the iMore show. Joining me today, as always, is iMore contributor Karen Freeman. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
And joining us once again as our special guest is iMore writer Luke Filipovich. Hey, Luke.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Well, it has been kind of a quiet week, but we do have some interesting news items. First of all, the new fun, I guess depending on your definition, colors of HomePods are out now. They came out on Monday, so if you've really been desperately wanting an iMore yellow HomePod for your home to show your fandom of us, now's the time. But we also have a new release, kind of from Apple, but mostly from Beats. And that is the Beats Fit Pro, a new set of $200 in-ear buds. So, Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about Beats Fit Pro?
Yeah, coming off the heels of the AirPods 3, Beats Fit Pro. I still think their naming conventions are a little weird. They don't necessarily roll off the tongue, but the Beats Fit Pro are kind of, I guess, sort of interesting to compare to the AirPods Pro. They have active noise cancellation. They have Apple's H1 chip for the fast pairing, the Hey Siri, all the Apple magic that you want. They also have a transparency mode and even adaptive EQ, which are both things that you've heard about before on Apple headsets. What's kind of different about the Beats Fit Pro is they have a very different design. They have like a wingtip design, or I can't remember exactly what you call those. Not only do they have silicone ear tips, but they also have like I think they're called wings. I think that's what the general description is of them, that are meant to secure sort of inside your, the folds of your ear, to give you a bit of a better fit. So they don't have stems that hang down. They kind of are completely in your ear, if that's a look that you appreciate. Yeah, and they come in 4 different colors, unlike AirPods, which still only come in white. I'm surprised. I really thought Apple was going to eventually get around to giving at least maybe space gray, you would think. But yeah, they come in black, gray, white, and then this kind of nice sort of mauve purple color that I'm actually really into. Their starting price is $200, which for everything it offers is pretty good. Oh, look, I said, Hey Siri, and now it's answering me. Yeah, for its starting price of $200, I think they offer quite a bit if you're not, not a big fan of maybe the AirPods look or the AirPods sound, since Beats do tend to have a bit more of a bass heavy sort of sound. While I haven't specifically tried this set yet, I think the thing I'm most excited about with it is it has 6 hours of battery life on the earbuds themselves, and that's with ANC on. So you have 6 hours of ANC in your ears, which is pretty good. Because like the AirPods Pro only gets about 4.5, I believe it's rated for. And so that's an extra hour and a half that you're going to be listening to your music. And then, of course, in the charging case, it holds an extra 18 hours. So in total, you have 24 hours of battery. And there's fast charging too. So about 5 minutes, pop the buds in for about 5 minutes in the case, and you'll get about an hour of listening time when they're low. So that kind of like one thing I've loved about the AirPods 3 is that like 6 hours is like a good chunk of time to have your earbuds in. And like, if I take a break from my computer, for lunch, I go heat up my soup or whatever I'm having that day, and I pop them in the case, they charge up pretty fast and give me another hour or so, and then I get through my whole workday pretty much no problem with my AirPods in completely. So I actually think that battery life, especially in earbuds, is one of like the features I actually look for most. It's one of the reasons why I actually love the AirPods 3 over the AirPods Pro. Is just that it doesn't seem like much maybe on paper, but that extra 90 minutes and the ability to fast charge the earbuds by just popping them in the case for a few minutes here and there, it really lets you extend the amount of time that you can listen to them. So I think the Beats Fit Pro are actually a pretty good offering. It still kind of suffers a little bit from the same sort of pricing kind of funniness around the fact that the AirPods Pros tend to be on sale even under $200 right now. But that being said, I think they kind of hit maybe slightly different audiences, especially if you're an Android user, because the Beats Fit Pro is actually way more Android friendly than any sort of AirPods would be. You can get the app, the Beats app, which will let you do on Android, will let you like do fast pairing and kind of take a bit of advantage of some of the features that, you know, AirPods just aren't going to have if you use with an Android phone, which you totally can use AirPods with an Android phone. But they're just obviously not baked into the ecosystem like they would be with Apple's ecosystem. So they're a pretty compelling product. I've never been like an overly huge fan of the Beats like sound. It's like a little bit too bass heavy for me. Like I don't mind a little bit of extra bass oomph, but I don't necessarily like, and it's not that the Beats sound bad per se, but it is like a sound profile. You know, it tends to fit a little better for certain genres like rock or EDM, things like that. And maybe, you know, other genres like classical and jazz are maybe not quite as great for, but all in all, their products have always been really stylish, which is kind of like, that's what they started right back when, before they were even part of Apple. That was sort of, they were more of a style symbol than they were headphones. And I still feel like that's kind of true a little bit. But with all the, you know, advancements that Apple has made in the kind of audio world since it's personally gotten into audio more, not just with Beats, but its own Apple branded headphones. It's kind of like an interesting mix of like, it tries to hit the iPhone audience by giving you all the Apple stuff, but then it's still trying to obviously break out and do something a little different. So yeah, I think like probably like, once again, I haven't tried them myself, and I don't think anyone on here on the call has probably tried them yet. My guess is that like they probably sound pretty good. I bet you the ANC is probably a pretty comparable to AirPods Pro, I would assume. The transparency mode is likely also probably pretty comparable. So it really kind of comes down to, you know, what you want. Do you like that design better than the stems? Some people really don't like the stems. So it's one of the big reasons why I know some people just won't buy AirPods, because they think these, regardless of how small they are, how big they are, they just look ridiculous to some people. Yeah. And some people really enjoy the in-ear kind of ear wing design. So, yeah, I think the one other thing I would say is like the charging case is not quite as nice in my opinion. It's like a little bit bulkier. It's not like it's huge, but it's a little bit bulkier than the AirPods one is. The AirPods one, for like all AirPods, you know, Gen 1 and 2, AirPods 3 and AirPods Pro, I feel like their cases are pretty compact and pretty like a nice size for what they need to hold. But the Beats ones are I feel like they could, if they wanted to, they could trim it down a little bit. But it's not like it's insanely huge. You're still going to be able to carry it around in your pocket, and it's not going to like, you know, it's not going to be a giant inconvenience. But I do think it's like something that, you know, they could probably work on making it a bit of a better case design if they wanted to make it go compact. But once again, that could be a very much you know, a design choice on purpose. So they're trying to, you know, get rid of, you know, try and distance themselves from the Apple, even though they are the same company essentially, but distance themselves a little bit more from the AirPods to look a little bit different. And I think that's something that Beats has kind of always wanted to do. They always wanted to like stand out with the bright colors and things like that.
That is true. And that is something I appreciate Beats, is that they do offer more colors, because come on, Apple, just a little bit more fun in the AirPods. I know.
I think
sorry, go ahead, Karen.
I think the colors are a huge selling point. I think at this point, if I was in the market for earbuds,
Totally.
those are the ones I would buy. I'd get the purple, absolutely, the lavender ones.
Yeah, I really thought with AirPods 3 that maybe we were finally gonna see like space gray at least, or some other offering,
or you know, like black, because plastic is easier to color than metal. Is much easier to color than metal.
Yeah. Black midnight, whatever they're calling it these days at
Ooh,
Apple.
like the actual Apple midnight color. I really like, and I've said it before, but it is it is black with a tinge of blue in it. That
That
would
would
be
be
neat.
so sharp on AirPods.
That would be nice, slick. Do you hear us, Apple?
Yeah. I was definitely, I mean, I guess there is AirPods Max, which does have some colors, but those
None of
are
them
still very much, $550,
Ooh.
which is not something that, everyone's going to go out
That's
and get.
true. I will say I know the design's a little divisive, but I actually like the design of AirPods Black, and now or AirPods Max, and I am now currently imagining a set of AirPods Max in midnight, and I'm really liking what I'm imagining here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I think that would actually be nicer than the colors that they have, because it's all very two-toned, the
Mhm.
colors on the
Mhm.
AirPods
I
Max, which
and
I'm not a fan of.
I think it works for some of them. I think it works for like the space gray model.
Yeah.
I also think it works for the pink model because the
Mm.
ear cups are see, I think the ear cups are kind of that like rose gold, and then it's like a
Mhm.
violent shade of red pink up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the blue.
that's a good description, but I don't like that. I don't like that look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like the two-tone of the blue. I mean, it also like perfectly matches my iMac. So if I was to get a pair of AirPods Max, that would definitely be the one I'd
Yeah.
probably gravitate towards.
Yeah, the blue one is better. I think the pink is the worst. I think they
Yeah.
should have gone with like more of a pink sand kind of
yeah,
color
you
to
would
go with the
prefer it
rose
was
gold.
like more actually pink on that.
Yeah, or just closer to the color of rose gold,
Yeah.
not that violent pink red, like you said.
Yeah, it is. Violent really is just like rated R violent pink
Yeah, it's like
red.
an assault on the eyeballs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say about the Beats Fit Pro, they make me think back to earlier this year with I think I'm getting this name right, the Beats Studio Buds, and
Yes.
sort of
Yeah.
the sort of contrast between these two sets of earbuds, because the Beats Studio Buds, which I think were released in June, I think.
It was earlier this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was post WWDC. But like there were files for them in one of the later iPhone or iOS 14 releases. And I remember thinking that they're kind of a strange animal because they still did like a lot of the quick pairing stuff with iPhones,
Mhm.
but Beats really played up how Android friendly they were, and they in fact didn't have like an H1 chip. They still did. They had it like a custom quick
Yeah.
pairing method.
Which I thought was interesting that the Beats Fit Pro did include the H1 chip and didn't have, but yet still has the ability to do the Android quick pairing. So
Mhm.
I wonder if that just came down to it was easier for Apple to use their own chip and figure out the other part of the process, and
Yeah.
that was just easier / cheaper since they're already making the H1 chips. Obviously, that's probably what my guess would be. But
Yeah.
the studio or the Beats Studio Buds, man, their naming conventions, I'm not sure about.
Terrible.
They're mouthfuls,
Terrible.
that's for sure. But yeah, those were interesting that they had like kind of a custom chip to sort of really, really kind of play up that Android compatibility, which this one also continues. So that's kind of interesting. I'm interested to see now. I'm interested to see now, like this is probably what I'm wondering if we can expect this from Beats going forward. Like
Mhm.
is this going to be their play since since people know Beats, Apple owns Beats and they're essentially Apple headphones just under a different, brand name. And the fact that they clearly want to sell AirPods to people who are Apple enthusiasts and are want to be locked into that ecosystem or are locked into that ecosystem. Like this is a good way to sort of make a product that competes for their product but doesn't necessarily target the same audience as their product. So it's like competing in a cheeky way but not necessarily competing. So I think I'm curious if I'll say if just in case, but I'm assuming it'll be when we actually get another set of Beats like over ears. Like the Solo 4s or something like that. I'm curious if that's also the direction that they'll go. And I think that they will. I think it's a smart way. It's a way you want to differentiate each other. And Usually Beats are usually a tad cheaper than the Apple ones are too. So there's that consideration as well. The Beats Fit Pro are, more comparable to the AirPods Pro than probably say the AirPods 3. And yet theoretically they're like $50, about $50 cheaper.
And Apple will sometimes discount the Beats products. When I worked at Apple, I remember sometimes they would just knock $50 or $100 off various Beats headphones.
So this I thought was a little wild, Karen. I was just on I was literally on apple.com. I think it was last night. Or maybe it was Wednesday. Time is running together again. But I just looked up it was the Studio Buds. I looked up the Beats Studio Buds, and they on the Apple website, which really struck me, they were discounted. Like they had to strike through the original price, and I think they were like $20 or $30 off.
Yeah, Apple does that pretty frequently and without fanfare. They just do it. It doesn't have to be a holiday or anything.
And it's usually not with their own first party branded stuff.
No, it's
Beats specifically.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I remember like at our morning meetings before my shift, there would, frequently be, oh yeah, and by the way, this set of Beats are $100 off and this set of Beats is $50 off. So let people know. There's no signs or anything, of course, at Apple.
Yeah, obviously.
You don't know until you ring it up unless you tell people.
Exactly. I wonder, I kind of miss the we were, talking about colors. I kind of miss the like weird patterns that would be on the that you would find on Beats products, like sports team stuff and branded stuff like Disney stuff that you would sometimes find on Beats that I feel like isn't as present anymore. I do kind of wish that Beats was still able to go that far out there.
I'm assuming Apple made some kind of proclamation about that. You could do colors, but
we can do colors, but we don't want to be too fun. Wouldn't be surprised if that. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the directive.
Yeah, it could also just be that maybe they didn't sell that well, and maybe Apple just decided not to go that way.
Comparatively.
Comparatively, right?
Yeah. When Beats was its own company, I feel like it more like weirdly it could sort of afford to cover more bases like that and make those licensing deals because it was, the cachet of the brand was in its sort of almost celebrity status, and so associating with sports teams, I think maybe not as much anymore, but you would always see Beats around, the necks of like basketball players and football players. And so getting that kind of brand stuff on there was a bigger deal for them.
It could also just simply be a licensing issue that Apple doesn't have the licensure.
Yeah, totally.
And they don't have the desire to pursue it more. All right. Moving on from Beats. There's a bit of news this week, a little bit of controversy around the display of the iPhone 13, or rather repairing it or third-party replacements of it. So Karen, tell me about what iFixit found in about third-party iPhone 13 display repair.
Yeah, so third-party iPhone screen repair has always been kind of dicey. Sometimes it works great, it saves you a few bucks, and sometimes your screen ends up with something like what they call touch disease, where it just doesn't work anymore. Like the screen, you touch it, nothing happens. So when I worked at Apple, we had got a number of people in who had their screens replaced elsewhere and brought it into Apple to fix after the fact because it was all messed up. So I have always recommended that people have Apple fix their screens, but of course, many people don't want to be forced into that option. And now with the iPhone 13, iFixit has confirmed that you can't with the iPhone 13. It will actually break the what do you call it? The Face ID if you have it repaired elsewhere. And it's because there's a little tiny chip like the size of a Tic Tac inside the screen. So it's a microcontroller, and it's so the way it works, it's called serialization. The technicians call this serializations. So Apple Services Toolkit 2 can make new screens work by logging the repair to Apple's cloud servers and syncing the serial numbers of the phone and the screen. So this gives Apple the ability to approve or deny each individual repair. So obviously Apple is only going to approve Apple repairs,
Yeah.
only going to approve Apple repairs. So understandably, this is making a lot of people upset because they just took away that option.
This brings up a lot of right to repair stuff, which
Totally.
Right.
is currently the subject of a lot of tech community talk. There have been bills in various state houses. There have been bills in Congress. I don't know that things like this are helping Apple. If you don't want people to be like, Apple has fought against right to repair, which boo is what I say. Like Karen, I totally take your point. Like, I probably would take my phone into Apple, especially now given this, but having the option would definitely be better than not, to my mind. But yeah, right now, I'll just flat out say, if you need your screen repaired, don't take it to a third party repair shop. Absolutely go to Apple, because you want Face ID to work.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does suck. Moves like this does not help. Right for repair is pretty important, and there's lots of it's a very nuanced debate, but there's lots of reasons that kind of Apple's practices in the repair side of things have been labeled anti-consumerist and stuff, and there's some credence to that a little bit sometimes, especially when things like this happen, and all of a sudden you have people who are trying to save a few bucks on the repair because they need their phone, but they don't necessarily have the disposable income to go get it repaired, or maybe pay for Apple Care when they first get the phone, or things like that. And having something, especially since screens can break so easily, right? Like, screens can crack or get scratched or get, there's so many ways that screens can get damaged. And then to go ahead and just essentially completely, if someone gets their screen repaired somewhere else, kind of not let them have access to a very important feature of Face ID, especially when there's no, Touch ID or any sort of other biometric verification on the iPhone 13. It's a hard pill to swallow for sure. And it's a bit of a, kind of eye roll, not a great look on Apple kind of move. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny to me because it also comes off a bit of news, a bit of a, not so much news, just a determination that actually iFixit also made about the new MacBook Pro, and that it is sort of more repair friendly, more personal repair friendly than MacBooks have recently been, which makes a lot of sense. They changed a lot up about the design. It's just to have, this particular problem, if it was an issue, if it was an issue that affected just the iPhone 13 Pro and it caused problems with ProMotion, for instance, that would be an annoyance for a lot of people, a huge problem for some people, but it's not disabling the biometrics that are part of the selling point of your phone because someone wants to save some money on the screen repair. It's not good. It's not good to do it. There needs to be a better system for this.
Yeah.
It's definitely not my favorite.
Yeah. And especially since heck, even if you got the iPhone, you got the iPhone 13, you have Apple Care on it. Sure. You go get it repaired. Maybe the first time your screen breaks or whatever, if something happens to it, but say, 3-4 years later down the line, you're still having that, you still have that phone and then it breaks again, then you're paying out of pocket, right? Because then your Apple Care is done by that point, your Apple Care Plus. And so it's it's not even just about the people right now. It's also about in the future, right? People are holding on to their phones a little more than normal now, right? There's phones have gotten to the point where if you buy a brand new flagship, you don't need to replace it definitely every year or even 2 years. You're definitely good for, probably 4 to 5 if you want to stretch it out and probably like honestly, the way that Apple supports their stuff, which is nice with updates and stuff, you can definitely, even out of Apple phones, you can get 6, 7, 8 years maybe, if you're really good about it. So it's a future problem too. It's not even causing issues right now. It's obviously causing issues right now, but it's just going to get worse going into the future once people do come off AppleCare, or, because screens are the most fragile part of your phone is the glass.
Use a screen protector, people.
Yes, true. Screen protectors are great. But yeah, even so, right? Like if anything's going to break on your phone from a drop or from anything, it's going to be your screen. It's the most, it's the most fragile part. Glass, even as strong as you can make glass, as Apple likes to claim that ceramic shield is and whatnot, you can only make glass. You can only make glass so strong.
Yeah, I mean, a screen protector helps a lot, but it's not infallible. So screens do still break sometimes.
Yeah. So it sucks. It sucks if you have if that's somebody, if you bought a new iPhone, if you bought it the 13, you're hoping to have it for quite a few years, and you're like, oh, when I need to replace the screen on it, I can go, down to my mom and pop, tech repair place, and they'll put a new screen on for me. And it's like, now you're going to have to deal with the fact that like, you're not going to be able to, if you want to still use Face ID. And that's a crappy trade-off. That's a crappy trade-off, especially if you're talking about somebody who wants to go do it years down the line, right?
Yeah.
It's like a weird, a very annoying decision you're going to have to make if that's the situation you end up being in.
Yeah, it will be a tough choice.
Definitely. All right. Before we move on, Karen, why don't you tell us about this week's sponsor?
Yes. So a relative of mine has Capital One, and when she made an online purchase that turned out to be fraudulent, Capital One totally took care of her, and she was a very happy camper. So have you ever had a technical snafu shopping online? Has filling out payment field given you a headache? Has a mobile banking app ever been down when you wanted to use it? Capital One believes everyone deserves better banking. This means easier access to their money, more security. That's why Capital One is investing in machine learning. Machine learning allows Capital One to do things like fight fraud with random forests. Models quickly detect suspicious activity and make it faster to alert federal investigators. Identify how mobile app outages happen with causal models. Keeping our mobile app up and running doesn't happen by accident. Anomaly detection and incident response help determine why app outages happen so engineers can quickly remedy them. Speed up online shopping with machine learning at the edge. Make shopping with virtual card numbers smoother and more secure. This technology is based on logistic regression models and running interference in the browser. It identifies payment fields, which helps make using virtual card numbers easier and faster. The potential of machine learning is so big. See how Capital One is using machine learning to create the future of banking. Machine learning at Capital One. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
All right. Thank you, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, we've talked about some of the more recent news. Let's talk about some of the, let's call it news to be. As I like to call it, the potential news, the news to be. So first we've got some stuff about Apple's sort of mixed reality headset. We've heard a lot in the past couple of weeks about mixed reality, virtual reality, alternate reality, the metaverse,
right,
the virtual space that Mark Zuckerberg wants us to all plug into. Like, I'm definitely not doing that. I'm gonna go analog even harder now, because formerly Facebook, now Meta, wants me to be in their virtual space. I'm gonna buy a bunch of notebooks. I'm gonna start working on a typewriter. I'll send my Slack message via carrier pigeon. That's
You're gonna start going places.
I think I'm gonna have to, like, just to spite Facebook Meta. Just out of spite, I'm gonna have to actually interact in the real world with people. That's what you've driven me to, Mark Zuckerberg. Don't like it. But yeah, we've got some rumors this week from Mark Gurman and Kuo-Ming Chi about Apple's mixed reality headset, and this is this is a term I also hate: mixed reality. Just
Yeah, it
one
just
term.
sounds sort of weird.
Yeah. So is this supposed to be? I am wondering. Is this supposed to be an AR/VR headset, or is
Yeah.
mixed reality just another term for AR?
No, it's supposed to be AR and VR.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right. So yeah, Mark Gurman is saying that Apple's headset, which is reportedly launched in 2022, is going to be is going to have a big focus on high quality virtual reality gaming, which yeah, I mean, kind of, if it's going to be a consumer product, it has to have consumer features. And the only other,
Yeah.
like, the professional features of a mixed reality or of an AR headset to me are kind of, something that's not like like a headset, not glasses, are things like, construction sites, or I don't know, maybe an architecture firm, maybe an academic setting, but it's not, making a presentation, a virtual presentation, or even doing any sort of office work or most office work that I could think of. So gaming really kind of is it if you want to do a consumer product starting at like $3,000, it had better be good. Because that was the rumor a while back, is that $3,000 or something for the price of this thing. I don't know, Luke. Mixed reality gaming thoughts?
I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's definitely eventually going to be the future. I do think. I think it's quite a whiles off. I don't think we'll be getting rid of our consoles or just our PCs or basic PCs or anything like that yet. I think for me, much like just augmented reality back when, that first started becoming more of a gaming trend and whatnot, is just like the cost of entry is just so high right now, right? Like the technology and the research and development time that goes into this stuff and is still very new. It's still very expensive to make and formulate and all sorts of things. So it's just, for me, it's just like, as much as I'm eager to see what Apple comes out with in this space, because I'm always kind of eager to see what Apple does, since they typically, try to put out, not necessarily be on the forefront of any sort of new product categories, but try to like really sort of elevate them as best as they feel like they can. I'm really interested to see what they will do. I'm interested to see how it compares to some of the other AR or VR headsets that are out there. I can't see myself going out and getting one because I doubt it'll be in anything even anywhere close to the amount of money that I have lying around. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see exactly. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, Joe. Like, for this to have any sort of mass appeal, which, based on its price point, it won't be mass, but you know what I mean? To have any sort of appeal to the general public, it needs to have general public features on it. So it's not going to be, something more like the HoloLens, where like the HoloLens is much less of a consumer product than it is more of a kind of industrial product in that way, right? Like there's medical uses for it. If Apple's going to go that route, they sure could, but it sounds like they're going the route of trying to make it more of a consumer product. And the only thing in mixed reality, be it AR or VR, that has any relevance to consumers right now is gaming, really. That's like the big.
So my question isn't, can Apple do this, but is this something that we
This is very
want?
much a Jurassic Park style question.
I mean, I read, well, it's more like Ready Player One. I don't know if you read the book or saw the movie.
Yeah.
I read the book and the sequel, and I saw the movie. And sure, it's entertaining, but it's also quite scary. If for those of you who are not familiar with it, it basically it's a dystopic future, and people have completely immersed in this gaming world and stopped trying to live any kind of life in reality, because reality just stinks. I mean, the world is all polluted, and climate change, like the world's all messed up, and so everyone
like piled on top of each other.
Yeah, people live in trailers that are just stacked on top of each other. That's like they call it the stacks. So things are pretty crummy for everyone, but basically they spend every single dime they have to buy these virtual reality, like full body things that they just basically lock themselves into and live their entire lives in. They go to school in there, they go to work in there, they game in there, and they just don't try to live in any part of the world anymore. And that just bumps me out a lot to think about going that direction, even a little bit. I mean, obviously not to that extent, it's fiction, but just even going in that direction makes me very sad. For me, interaction with real people in real life is the most important thing. But maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know, but that's just how I feel.
The idea of Apple getting into metaverse stuff, I don't know. I don't know that we have a lot to worry about from Apple's efforts, Karen, personally, just because historically, Apple and social, as we see social, don't necessarily mix. They do a pretty good job with iMessage and FaceTime and that kind of stuff, but I'm not sure we have to worry about an Apple style of a Facebook / Meta style social network becoming a virtual space that will overwhelm our lives from Apple.
Yeah.
I do think on the gaming front, I think a lot about the demos that Apple's had at when we had in-person WWDCs. They spent a lot of time on like AR game demos. So I think Apple's pretty well positioned on that stuff. Things like, well, I mean, maybe not necessarily Minecraft, but there was like, that's always the example I think of is the HoloLens demo where they did AR Minecraft on in a living room.
Mm-hmm.
I think Apple's got some games that are ready. Like they've been preparing developers for this stuff for like 5 years now. So it is about time we get some of that good old dedicated hardware.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, a device like this is really going to be like, what kind of support can they give it, and how can they attract developers to the platform is also going to be a big part of this, right? Like I'm sure they have some in the queue. Like they're not just going to launch it and be like, here you go, you can't do anything on this yet, but eventually you'll be able to. Like they'll obviously have stuff to do on it when they launch it, and there'll be games and there'll be programs and things to do. But a big part of it going forward, if they want to make splash in this space, is they'll need developer support, and they'll need to get gaming companies to make things for the Apple headset. The Apple Lens, the Apple Glass, whatever you want to call it. They'll need support for that. They'll need to find, if they want to have any sort of success. So I'm curious about that aspect of it. Like when it does launch, I'm curious, like, what are we actually going to be able to do with it? What are people actually going to be able to do with it? How much support is there going to be? And what's going to be like the plan going forward? And I feel like the plan going forward might be the most important part of that aspect. Because if they want to make this a more consumer oriented product, I mean, on top of eventually finding ways to make it cheaper, which will eventually happen, but it'll always probably still be a premium product regardless. They're going to have some sort of roadmap on like, what's coming out, how it's coming out, how it's being, how they're getting content for it, because it's no one's going to want to buy a $3,000 headset that, has like 3 games on it or whatever. Or, maybe it launches with like quite a few games, but then nothing comes out for it for the next like 4 or 5 years. That's going to also kind of kill progress, right? It's going to be interesting when they reveal it. I got to say, like, when we finally get closer to them revealing it, which apparently might be next year, so maybe we're not that far off, but whenever it happens at a WWDC or, an Apple event or a special event, maybe it'll have its own whole event, maybe, because it's going to be so, such a new product category for them. I'm not sure, but like that'll be an event to watch, I think, for sure, because not only will it be hopefully pretty slick, because Apple's production, especially if they keep going with these pre-recorded what am I trying to say? Events. There we go. It'll not only probably be really slick, but it'll probably like they're pretty good at generating hype. So I'll be interested to see what they do when they actually get around to launching this, and kind of like what developers they'll have kind of keyed in already. Because I guarantee you they will. They'll come out and they'll say, you know, when it's launching or whatever, or they'll or whenever they show it off for sure, they'll definitely have a list of developers that they've already been in talks with to make content for it. I guarantee it.
There's no planet on which Apple is going to release a new product that has only 3 games attached, or 3 developers attached to it.
Yeah,
they've been in secret. They've been in secret negotiations with Epic.
Yeah,
this whole time.
Yeah,
Fortnite mixed reality Fortnite.
The entire trial was in code.
Yeah,
and it was their negotiations. Yeah, although I got to tell you, speaking of the event around this, Luke, I got to say, I think they're going to wait for the ability to safely do an in-person event. I think they're going to want people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To do like hands-on in the studio, the waiting area, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they really want that.
And I feel like there has to be a good way to share. You know how, like, you know, people share their, you know, Twitch and all that. With people share their video gaming. There has to be a really cool way to share their gaming experience from this headset.
Share it and share it wide, because I mean, it's one thing to be able to have just like a share button, and it goes, you know, you send it to iMessage. Hey, look at this cool game, and your sister's like, oh, fucking whatever.
Yeah. No, it has to be like, you have to be able to share it in a really cool way that's gonna get people to want to buy the headset.
Yeah, you will need to share it on social.
Yeah,
Ping. Apple brings back Ping, and that's how you share it. They rebrand Ping. Yeah, and so part of this, we have another bit of a rumor about this thing. This mixed reality headset is also supposed to pack in Wi-Fi 6E, which might not sound like a big deal, but it kind of is. It's extended bandwidth. It's higher bandwidth Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi 6 is already, I think the bandwidth is like it's like 1 gigabit per second. It's fairly high bandwidth and can take a lot of throughput. So, you know, if Apple's actually investing in higher grade Wi-Fi for this, I think we can expect. I'm actually expecting a fairly high quality experience. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it'll be like wearing a 4K TV on your face or anything like that. I don't know if it'll go that far, because that really would push the price up.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But yeah, Luke, I think I'm with you. I'm very interested to see where this thing goes. Yeah, Karen.
I was just going to say, I think that the idea is not to make it feel like you're wearing a giant TV on your face, but like that it's directly in your brain.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it was HTC did one. I want to say it's called the Flow or something like that. They released a new headset, or a new virtual reality headset that is like the closest thing to just glasses that I've seen so far. There really are more goggles than they are like one of those big VCR looking headsets. And that is actually more like what I'd hope to see from Apple. Even, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little bulkier, because it's the headset and not Apple glass. But yeah, they really, one of the things about VR is, as light as something like the Oculus Quest is, it's not very comfortable even now. And I don't think VR is all that great for, anybody who's on this call right now. People wearing glasses. It's not a good situation. Like, I don't know if it's most people, but a massive portion of people across the world use corrective lenses of some kind, and a lot of that
there would have to be
glasses.
Something built in that would compensate for that.
And things like the Quest, they have the solution right now is you have like a different spacer. Like, you take out the original spacer that's in the headset and then you put a new one in. No.
There has to be a way to just wear your glasses in
Yeah.
it, or some other way to compensate that's elegant. Putting different spacers in is not elegant.
Yeah, it
Apple
is.
doesn't do things that way.
Yeah, I can imagine Apple has some kind of like smooth rotating dial, almost like, tech taken from the digital crown on the Apple Watch and the AirPods Max. That you dial it in and it spaces out right and it feels better. But yeah, I'm hoping for something lighter.
Yeah, I don't see any situation where I would be trying one of these, but y'all have fun.
Yeah, I mean, really, what it is, Karen, is I'm really just waiting for the glasses, the thing that just like displays, messages in the corner of my eye, and not a giant headset that I have to wear.
I don't know that I want to cede control of what enters my brain
Mm-hmm.
to artificial intelligence. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can
think
feel my watch ping when I have a message, but I can still choose to look at my wrist or not.
Yeah, and I mean that's true. I mean that's actually one of the things I think focus is a really good ancillary feature for,
Right.
and not just do not disturb, but focus. Like going on a run, I don't want to see all the notifications, so I turn on running mode or activity mode or whatever, and it silences all my notifications.
Yeah.
And I have to say, focus does fit right into the idea of this AR VR headset,
doesn't it? Just
you gotta get that gaming focus going. Turn off everything but the games.
Teach people how to use focus, and then introduce this product. I mean, I can see it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a tangential topic, but on focus, that's the next thing that Apple has to. That's something that Apple has to do with iOS. I think they have to do it with iOS 16. Is they need to make focus easier to set up and use. They need to do more with that. Like I can imagine Apple doing with iOS 16, like suggested focus, that kind of thing. Like we've noticed that you use these apps here and use these kind of widgets here. So why don't you turn this focus on and it'll be your home screen for this number of hours? That kind of stuff.
And I mean, I was going to say, it's already like, part of the way there, right? Like it'll suggest when to turn on focuses if it thinks you're, it based on what you do in your movements, right? Like, especially when you go driving, go in your car, it'll be like, put on a driving focus or, I've noticed even sometimes like based on, the times that I've turned on focus, specifically for like the podcast or for meetings that we have at iMore and things like that, I'll notice it'll start suggesting it to me, sometimes a little earlier than I would normally turn it on and things like that. So it's definitely, I'm sure that's something that they're thinking of for sure. Like there'll be more ways to integrate it, more smart suggestions. They're always looking for ways to make, Siri or the AI, always more intelligent and more suggestive. And so like that, it will be interesting to see that kind of come to fruition. And I think you're right. iOS 16 will probably kick it up a notch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make it more proactive.
I just thought of another aspect that they might really want to integrate with not even waiting for the glasses, but the mixed reality headset, Fitness Plus. I think it needs to be light enough that you can do workouts in it.
Oh, interesting. That's a cool idea.
Being in the studio without being in the studio. I kind of like that.
And it could be something like that where you're like in the studio. And actually, I think that might even work out for things, sometimes I have to do an alternative yoga workout, instead of the main pose, I have to use the blocks or whatever. So being able to shift my focus and like stand in front of the person in the back that's doing the alternative workout instead of having to see them almost out of the corner of my eye, that would be helpful.
But I think outside the box, you could also be doing your yoga class on the top of Mount Everest.
That would be cool.
Like why be in a studio? If you're in virtual reality, why would you be in a studio?
I mean, you would theoretically would still need some sort of cell signal. And I mean, I haven't been to Everest myself, but I'm not sure if it reaches up quite that high.
But I think
I meant virtually.
Oh, virtually. Oh, I thought you meant like I thought you meant physically somewhere.
We're all
really cool. And then doing your work. Okay.
I understand. We're all very tired. Sometimes that
I
manifests
understand
in
now.
different ways.
No, so like
Okay.
if you're doing a biking workout, you could be like, biking the Tour de France, or,
Totally. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
pretend,
Yeah.
oh,
virtually, or
oh.
going
So
through a walk, going for a walk through the rainforest instead of just
Mhm.
walking on your treadmill.
Karen, that's perfect. That's perfect. So right now, you've got the guided walks, right? On the Apple
Yeah.
Watch. This could be
Mhm.
this could be the next step of it where you put on the headset and you
Yeah.
get on your stationary bike and
Yeah. Yeah.
now there's a partnership that Apple can come up with is some kind of high-tech stationary bike that like moves not obviously they move in some parts, but I mean like they move side to side and maybe even front to back a little bit
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
it can more readily simulate going down an actual trail, like virtual outdoor workouts.
Mhm.
Right.
Or you could bike
Wow.
outside.
Or
Just
you
thought.
could
I'm not saying it's
outside
not cool.
with
Listen,
people,
we
Luke.
all live in climates where biking outside is really only an option for about half the year.
That is very true, for sure.
At best.
Yeah. And hey,
Yeah,
I mean, it
Your
right.
would.
best.
Don't get me wrong. It
It's
would
sort
be
of a
really.
day by day thing.
Yeah. It
You
would be.
really
It would be really cool to like slap on a headset, just jump on a stationary bike, and bike down like a France street or something like that. Like that would be neat. Like that,
Right.
I would
Mhm.
definitely be into that. I'm just poking fun,
Yeah.
but
Right. No, I know.
Stephen Perry in the comments, exactly like a Disney ride, just in
yeah,
your living room.
yeah,
Yes.
like a 4D Disney ride.
A Star Tours module.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it would. The
Exactly.
Fitness Plus aspect would be cool. I think though the one thing, like you said, Joe, is just like what that headset's going to feel like on your head, because that could cause injury problems depending on what kind of workouts you're doing if you have too
Yeah.
much weight on your head, for sure. So that
I-
would need to be something that would have to be considered. But
I do also
Yeah,
wonder,
that's true.
because it's something we have to ask. It's maybe not something that always materializes with every Apple product, but it materializes with most of them, and that is, and Karen, this is an area that you work a lot on iMore, is the accessory story. Like, what are the satellite products for the headset? Like, I mean, the thing I immediately go high concept, and maybe Apple works with companies that make like special wind machines that enhance the virtual reality. I do hope no one does that suit thing you were talking about, Karen. That is a bit of that is a little too dystopic for me.
sure.
Um,
It's a
and
little much.
yeah, I wonder, like, it's not just going to be like headbands. It's got to be stuff that connects to it, and maybe. But yeah, I think focusing on enhancing that virtual or augmenting reality in different ways outside of the visual.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, we're just playing around with ideas. In reality, it wouldn't be safe to walk, even much less run on a treadmill, if you're
Mhm.
wearing something that's covering your face and covering your
Yeah.
eyes.
This is
You
why
have to actually be able to see your feet.
This is why
Mhm.
the mixed reality bit of it is important. So they could theoretically,
Yeah.
I don't,
AR would be okay, but
yeah.
VR would be dangerous, I think.
Well, I think they could. Well, they say mixed, and I think actually having a mix of AR and VR is where this kind of would work. So you're in a completely, like, say, completely virtual environment, kind of holodeck style, and you look down and you can actually see your feet. You
Yeah.
know,
Right, but you have to be able to see the treadmill and where the
yeah.
handlebars, or
Mhm.
whatever piece of equipment
Mhm.
you're using. You have to be able to see it and all of its entire outline, so you don't step off of it
Yeah,
accidentally or miss when you're trying to grab the handles, or
that's why I
you know.
think this isn't just going to be a pure VR headset.
Yeah.
Augmented reality imposes virtual elements on the existing world. So I think that would help a lot. And I think I think that's actually going to be part of Apple's, you bring it up. I think that would be part of Apple's pitch, is that, pure VR, it can be a little dangerous. Like I've,
Yeah.
I've hurt my finger just like accidentally bashing into a wall and with a
Well, we've
VR
all seen
headset.
videos. We've all seen videos on, YouTube or TikTok of people in various virtual reality headsets falling over and, getting confused about which way is up. And there have to be safety features built right in, because Apple's not going to open itself up to lawsuits
Oh
of
yeah.
people getting injured.
And
So
the other question I would have about it is, do you absolutely, for anything you might do, need a controller, or can it like follow movements of your hands? I think this is another question that Apple needs to answer. Like if it's going to be like, if it's gaming, you might think you need a controller like you have on an Oculus or another thing.
Or a
But one
Vive
of
or
one
something
of the
like that.
features that Oculus I think they've continually tried to improve is actually hand detection. I think there's a mode that you can activate. I don't know if it's still in beta or if it's been fully released, but you can basically just use your hands as controllers, and as long as you squeeze them the right way, you don't need those weird Oculus controllers. Because like you were saying about safety, back 15 years ago or whatever, we all saw videos of Wiimotes going into TVs and
yeah.
people losing control of like motion controllers. So I think for Apple it might be kind of like the stylus with the original iPad. That famous phrase from Steve Jobs: "If you see a stylus, they blew it." Which, man, when the Apple Pencil first came out, people had a lot to say about that. But yeah, I do wonder about controllers and just accessories in general about this thing.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I thought today might be a bit of a shorter show, but turns out we had a lot to say about mixed reality and screen repair and Beats earbuds. So good on us, I say. All right. But having said all that, we have come down to the end of our hour. I want to thank everybody who showed up to watch and comment live. It's always great to see you folks there. Lots of interesting discussion today about the future of Apple products coming next year. Man, that mixed reality headset really is coming up quick, probably. Sounds like. Also, big shout out to everyone who's going to listen later in their podcatcher of choice. We, of course, do this for the listeners, both live and later. Thanks to Jim Metzendorf, who always makes it sound so lovely by editing our various audio feeds. And thanks to Luke for once again joining us on the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, totally. Fun conversation.
Right. And until next time, this has been the iMore Show. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.